Greetings and welcome to the Introduction to Astronomy. In this week's Misconception in Astronomy, we are going to talk about solar eclipses and find out if looking at a solar eclipse can make you go blind. So let's get started here. So can you go blind from looking at a solar eclipse? And not really. Staring at a solar eclipse can cause very severe damage to your eyes. But it will not necessarily cause blindness, and it's a matter of staring at the eclipse which causes the problem. If you accidentally happen to glance up and see an eclipse, you haven't generally ruined your eyes. And in fact, it's really nothing different about an eclipse. It is never safe to look at the sun when it is high in the sky. You'll note that you can look at the sun during a sunrise or a sunset because most of the light is blocked out and never makes it to you. But why? What is so special about an eclipse that makes it more dangerous? And what it is that much of the sun's surface is blocked, so you don't instinctively turn away. Normally, if you try to glance up at the sun during the middle of the day, you will turn away because it is so bright and it hurts your eyes. But when 3/4 or 90% of the sun is blocked, then it's not so painful to look at, and people find themselves staring at the sun. And that's when it can cause problems, and it can hurt your eyes even if you're not going to go fully blind. So when can you look at a solar eclipse? Well, it's actually perfectly safe to look at a solar eclipse during totality, during that time when the surface of the sun is completely blocked out. Now, again, you have to be very careful with this. I'm not saying stare at an eclipse. What I'm saying is that during totality, when the sun is blocked out, it's not going to hurt your eyes. You're seeing the solar corona there, and that is much, much fainter and is not going to damage your eyes. And that's actually a perfectly good sight that you can see. The problem with that is that you need to know when totality starts and when it ends, because that sliver of sunlight as it starts to appear can be very dangerous. Now, what does the sun do if you stare at it too much? Well, it can cause damage to your retina, and that's primarily the ultraviolet and infrared light that can burn into the retina, causing permanent damage. So that's what can happen if you stare at the sun during an eclipse. So if you look at an eclipse at times like this where it's only partially visible, that is what can happen. That can burn that image into your retina, and that's where the danger lies. But looking at it during a total eclipse or using other methods to look at it, such as a pinhole camera, which is simply a pinhole in a piece of cardboard, and then that allows you to project an image there, and looking at that, of course, is perfectly fine. You're not looking at the sun yourself, you're looking at an image of it. And you can also use things like safety glasses, and these are very specific ones. These aren't sunglasses. These are extremely dark, will block out everything except the sun's light. And if you try to pair it an eclipse, you'll see that unless you're looking toward the sun, you see absolutely nothing through them. And that's the whole idea, is that they're blocking out almost all of the light, and especially all of the dangerous light that can cause damage to your eyes. So, in the end, what am I saying? It's not safe to look at an eclipse, but it's just glancing up. If you happen to have glanced at it, an eclipse, you're not going to have caused damage generally to your eyes. So let's go ahead and finish up with our summary. And what we've looked at today is that glancing at the sun, if you just happen to have seen it or looked up by accident, that's not going to cause damage to your eyes. You never want to stare at a sun, and that is where the problem comes. During an eclipse, there's a reason to stare at the sun, and the extended looking at the sun can cause severe eye damage. So there are far better ways, using filters, using the pinhole camera, or using specific glasses that are designed to look at eclipse, which are far safer ways to be able to protect your eyes when viewing a solar eclipse. So that concludes this misconception on a solar eclipse can make you blind. We'll be back again next week for another misconception in astronomy. So until then, have a great day, everyone, and I will see you in class.